What's up guys, it's Ash and you're watching Life Talks with Ash. Before this video starts, I invite you to like this video, share it with your friends and family, and engage in the comments. Have you ever felt depressed? Like you were in this dark hole and couldn't see a way out? That's what depression felt like for me. It was 2018. I was stressed about everything. I felt alone and a bunch of other emotions. I did not tell anyone because I feared being looked at as a bad person. Although no one has directly told me that if I was experiencing symptoms of depression, that I was being punished by God for some sin, I felt this way because of how little it was talked about within the church. Everyone in my church seemed so perfect. They seemed like they were experiencing so much peace and joy in their lives. So if I wasn't experiencing this level of joy and peace, I figured that I was the problem and I needed to fix this problem. I wish I knew then what I know now. I wasn't being punished. I was experiencing life and needed to reach out for help. In John 16:33, St. John records the words of Jesus when he says, "I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. You will suffer in this world. Be courageous. I have conquered the world." This is one of the many verses that helped me when I was going through a hard time. This video will inform you on the importance of understanding how depression originates in order to have more grace for ourselves and our loved ones who are struggling. I will talk about the misconceptions surrounding depression within the church, the causes of depression, and how we can help each other when we are struggling. First, it's important to define what depression is and look at some reasons that young Christians don't reach out in the Christian community. Dr. Gary Collins, in his book Christian Counseling, defines depression as a common, universal condition that varies in terms of symptoms, severity, origins, and duration, and that affects lower segments of the population. Now that we have the definition, we can mention the misconception. First misconception is that depression is a sign of a sin problem or having weak faith. Avoiding talking about mental health and depression has been around for centuries, but the modern church is still not addressing the problems. In a news article made in 2020 by Kelly from Allen Creek Community Church, she states, "It is not uncommon for Christians to see depression as a failure to trust God and believe His promises or a lack of sufficient faith in His ability to heal." Addressing depression is okay, because although the concept of clinical depression isn't discussed in the Bible, there were strong men in the Bible who had moments of depression. One example is in the life of the prophet Elijah. After he defeated the prophets of Baal, his life is threatened by Jezebel. 1 Kings 19:1-8 is the story of him wanting to die, but God sent an angel to comfort him. One thing to keep in mind is that depression is an illness, not a sin. Another misconception is that depression will go away if we pray hard enough or have enough faith. While I do believe that prayer and scriptures are powerful tools to use when we are facing mental illnesses, I do not believe that it's the only tool that God gives us. An article states that while God is capable of healing divinely mental or physical illnesses, He does not always intervene in this way. God gave people like doctors and mental health professionals the understanding and skills to help those who are suffering. One last misconception that I would mention is that depression is a punishment from God. This same article states that depression is not the fault of the person who is suffering. It may be a difficult child that can refine someone's faith, but it's not a punishment for sin. This article also quotes John 9:1-3, which tells the story of a man who was born blind. The disciples thought that maybe he or his parents had sinned, but in verse 3, Jesus answers them and says, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned. This came about so that God's work might be displayed in him." There are a lot more misconceptions that are discussed in this article. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. Next, we will look at some of the causes for depression. Many factors can play a role in a person developing depression. Each factor that I will state comes from Dr. Collins' Christian Counseling Textbook. One factor that can play a role is the biological genetic causes. Dr. Collins states that biological genetic causes of depression reflect the impact of brain chemistry, hormone imbalance, disease, genetic influences, and even the impact of poor sleep, eating, and exercise habits. Another factor is the psychological cognitive causes. These come from background and family influences, such as conflict or lack of closeness with parents, or other significant losses. Learned helplessness and the impact of negative thinking are also a part of this group. One last factor is the social economical causes, which can come from stressful environments. Lastly, we will discuss some ways that we can be supportive to those that are living with depression. There are many things that we as a community can do to help our friends and family members who are struggling with depression. The first way to help someone is to start a conversation with them. When I was depressed, it helped when someone noticed that something was wrong and started a conversation. While this may not seem like a lot, it really means a lot to someone who thinks no one cares about them. According to Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Borland recommends cultivating the art of assertive communication. You take ownership of your feelings and concerns and communicate them without finger pointing. And you listen and provide your friend with unconditional emotional support. The next way you can help someone is to show empathy. Dr. Borland also states that you should put yourself in your friend's shoes in a non-judgmental way. Think about how you would feel if you were coping with symptoms of depression and how you would want your friends to react. By showing them that you care, it will help them not feel like they are a burden. Lastly, encourage them to seek help from a professional. If the person's symptoms increase and the depression doesn't seem to be getting better, they may need to see a therapist. He also states that we should recognize that supporting your friend does not mean fixing their problems. A person with depression often needs treatment to see improvement, and that's something only a medical professional can provide. These tips are just a few of the things that we can do to help our loved ones. In summary, I talked about the misconceptions surrounding depression within the church, the causes of depression, and how we can help each other when we are struggling. This video informed you on the importance of understanding how depression originates in order to have more grace for ourselves and our loved ones who are struggling. Depression is a very common illness, and it's important to be able to talk about it in our communities, in schools, and churches. Let's do our part in helping our loved ones with grace and patience. We might just save a life. Thanks for watching. For more videos, like this video, engage in the comments, and share this video with your family and friends. Also, let me know in the comments if you would like to see future videos regarding this subject or other subjects, and I'll do my best to drop a video addressing that topic. Thanks.